MCAT office hours. Hello and welcome. We are back after a short hiatus. Petros was gallivanting around the world, but now we're back and helping you all on your MCAT journey. We are live, not as it says on that title there, Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. We are live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern because we want to be, because we think that's a better time. Petros, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Petros Manassi. Let me throw up your thing. VP of Test Rep and Tutoring at MSHQ. 25 plus years of MCAT experience, coming over from the Kaplans of the world, sharing your wisdom now with our amazing audience. So much better than everyone else's.
That's right.
Petros, what's happening in the MCAT world? Anything special happening in the next few weeks?
Yeah, just a small thing called MCAT registration opening up. So nothing to worry about. I say with complete sarcasm. So registration opens up in 2 weeks. A little different this year than years past because it's registration for the entirety of the 2026 testing calendar versus before it was the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year would open up in February. So a little bit different in terms of game plan. And then I'll just add this now, and we can talk about this in more detail. But the other big thing is there's a February test date that's come about now. So that does change things up a little bit in terms of timelines. And then unrelated to registration and test dates, but good news for pre-meds who are prepping for the MCAT. They just released a new practice test as part of the preparation materials. So that was released on not this past Friday, but the Friday before, whatever day that was, the 26th, I think. So
I don't think I saw that.
Oh yeah. That's the other big kind of news that's out there. So that's so we can talk about that. That's a new test. That's another, so for students who've tested before, prepped before, and maybe used up a few of the AMC exams, there's a new one that is now available and will be available as far as the bundle and purchase from the AMC, of course, but it's there. And so there's another one. They've been releasing them pretty regularly, like once every couple of years. So this is kind of on track for that. But
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
For
students, how do they access that? It's another free one. So now there's
no. Let me actually pull it up on the AMC website and I can get it get the exact details. It is not a free one, if I remember correctly. Shocker, right? Is what it is.
Why would I think of such silliness?
I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, it's the, let's see. This happened while I was away. It was released while I was away. So let me just get myself. I realized as I was saying it that I probably should have looked it up. But no, it's not free. It's called MCAT Exam 6 is what it is.
Okay.
It is $35. So it's
part of their normal bundle. Oh,
it's $35 on its own, and then it's now included as part of the bundle. So if you had, so here's the caveat, you got to check, but I'm 99% certain that I read one transmission from the AMC, one email from the AMC that said if you had previously purchased the AMC bundle, that would not be included, right? So it's for new bundle purchases. So that's the
because why would you want to help students?
Yeah.
Did the bundle price go up as well?
It is now $323.70.
Do we know what it was before? Actually,
it was. I think it was. I can
here. Watch this trick, friend.
Are you going to the machine?
I'm going to the machine.
The Wayback Machine.
Yes. Let's go to the machine. Let's bring up. It's like going to let's go to the instant replay. Wayback Machine. All right. Can you see the Wayback Machine Google search here?
Yeah.
All right.
You want the link?
Oh yeah. What's the link?
Here, hold on. I got it.
I suppose I can.
Yeah. It's store.amc.org. But here, this is the.
Yeah, I got it here. Oh, look, it's on sale, $390, $323. All right, so URL. So September 17th. It was 404.
We're not gonna let you
like erase all of the records. That OMC does have that power. It can. That's a 404 as well. Oh, come on. I wonder if it was a different URL back then.
It probably was a different URL. Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's showing. Oh, yeah, this one worked. There you go.
Yes, it did go up.
All right. Making their money. Okay.
Yep. But there is a new practice test available. So that's the
good for them.
It's the good news.
Yeah. Okay. So new practice test available, and we can go there. Yeah, it's the test free. Yeah, that was my first question. Unfortunately, not.
No worries.
The AAMC's got to try to keep making more money. They're trying to get to $1 billion of assets. They're sitting on 600 million, so they're getting close. Getting close.
Any day now.
Yeah. How many nonprofits have $1 billion of assets outside of like big university endowments, which again, nonprofit. Caroline asks, my daughter got a 506 on her recent MCAT. She attends University of Miami. Great win this weekend over FSU. GPA 396, involved in multiple organizations. Should she retake the exam? This is probably the most common question, Petros, is how do I weigh the MCAT with everything else? And am I willing to, or should I, is it recommended to retake this silly little test?
I mean, here's the thing. The question you really should be asking yourself, or your daughter should be asking yourself, is what work did she do to get to the 506? And does she feel like something was left on the table? Like, if there had been more time, if she'd had, fewer other obligations, would she have been able to dedicate more time to the MCAT? And quite frankly, how there it is. How it's an inside joke. How is it that you spent the time, and how efficient was your preparation? And then the kind of the flip side to the question is, and what time will I be able to dedicate to it if I were to retake, right? Because it's not just a question of, I'm going to retake it. It's, do I actually have the time to be able to study for it, and study for it differently, right? And study for it, as far as where maybe some of the deficits were. The other thing about MCAT scores, which kind of I want to ingrain in everybody's mind, yes, there's the overall score, but you also have to look at the breakdowns, right? You have to look at the individual section scores. So was there a section or sections that your daughter felt maybe there is particularly some more room for improvement, or, can demonstrate, a higher score on? So kind of taking those factors into account, then you can say, all right, yes, I do want to retest, or no, I don't want to retest. And then the question is, when am I going to retest? And when is it realistic for me to be able to, dedicate the right amount of time between now and then, and actually put a guided plan together to get myself to where I want to ultimately be going to. So, okay, so biochem, if that was like the standout section, then, maybe there is very kind of ample opportunity. The trick though, Carolyn, and for your daughter, is that, and not so much the trick, but just kind of the thing to consider, is that you do have to retest the entire exam, right? You can't just go in and just take the bio section. You got to take the whole thing. And the last thing that you want to have happen and I say this with a smile on my face, is, study real hard for the biochem section, and then that score goes up, but the other scores go down, and then it's like, wait a minute.
See it all the time.
What happened? Right, we see that all. I mean, unfortunately we see that all the time. So you put all this focus on one area, and then all of a sudden it's, those other 3 sections saw some dips, because I can assure you that there still needs to be some refreshing, some studying that's happening between now and when you take the exam, even for the other sections. So to maintain the score, let alone improve those scores. So those are things to consider.
Caroline. I never know how to pronounce that. We have both in our lives spelled the same way. Can she be accepted a major college? She says no. I'm not sure what you mean by a major college. Potentially schedule a consult with you, Petros.
Yeah.
Like walk through all of that and pros and cons. I talked to a student yesterday, kind of along the same vein here, of a student got a 503, retested, got a 505. Really isn't interested in retaking the test. He knows a higher MCAT score is going to help. He's fine applying MD, NDO, and so casting a wide net. Wants to go back to New York, where he's from. And so I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. And obviously a higher MCAT score will help. 505 is right on that edge of one standard deviation of the average. 506 is within that, I'm pretty sure. I think it's 505 something. So, yeah. It's hard. All right. Yeah, if you go, I'll post a link here to schedule a consult with Petros. Go do that. Medical school. Can she get into medical school with a 506? Yes. Depends on where she's applying. Right. So again, just to show the data here, I'll pull it up. It's table A. Oh, which one is it here? MCAT GPA A16. Oh, I hate that they got rid of all of the PDFs.
Oh yeah.
Usually it was just like they would put the Excel for the newest data until they were able to PDF-ize them, but now they just got rid of the PDFs, it seems like. Downloads, PDFs. I've downloaded this one apparently 7 times. I just keep downloading the same one over and over and over again.
Well, I don't have any memory left on my computer, right? I have 20 copies.
So if I share Carolyn, here's the data, right? So if we go to the data, this is MD only, and I can pull up DO as well. If we look at, we're going to ignore this top one because that's applicants. We're going to look at matriculants, the people that actually started medical school. Total MCAT, 511.8, but look at that standard deviation. It's a really big standard deviation. So 511.8 minus 6.7, 505.1 is one standard deviation, which normal bell curve distribution is 34% are between that 505.1 and 511.8. So can she get in? Yeah. 34% of people are getting in between 505.1 and 511.8. So, and then again, if I pull up the DO data, let's see if I pull it up. Their formats are very, very different. That's another spreadsheet here. That's GPA. I don't want GPA. I want MCAT. There we go. Download. I've downloaded this one 4 times. Share my screen again. Over here. Is that the one I want? I cannot tell. Hold on 1 second. Close that one. Close that one. All right. So, sharing the screen. Zoom in. Apparently, 502.97 is the applicant average.
Matriculant.
Yes, average matriculant.
Matriculant. Yeah.
Yep. I said average because applicant because I was looking at these going, those are very close together.
Yeah.
This is concerning for me for DO schools. That this number actually has been going down. 503.9, 502.97, which basically 503. 504.58. I've been watching this number for a few years, and I'm not sure what's going on. My guess is that there's just more DO schools, and so they're taking more students that historically they didn't need to take. So it's an interesting number to look at, but the fact that these numbers are so close together, and obviously there's a point difference there, these are nearly identical.
Dead on, yeah.
It's
like a rounding error almost.
There's a point and a half here, which is better. I mean, you want some difference between the applicants and matriculants. That shows there's some competitive part of this that it actually makes sense to have that. I mean, if this is the case, like these DO schools should just get rid of the MCAT.
Right. If it's so close is the
Yep.
I would be curious though, not for right now, but how many, because there have been quite a few DO schools that have opened up, right? So I mean, if those numbers, how those numbers have affected the overall averages.
Yeah, which I think is that is the cause without doing any sort of in-depth analysis.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. All right. Petros, as we have more people on here, let's talk about MCAT registration.
Yeah.
How many people watching this right now are going to take the MCAT in 2026? That would be an interesting question. And so, Petros, now if a student is going to take the test in 2026, regardless of when they are taking the test in 2026, that registration opens in just a couple weeks. But they can do something today to start preparing for that registration, correct?
Yeah. So, like right now, well, not right now because we want you to listen to what we have to say. But after we're done here, you can go to the AMC website and set up your account, right? So you can fill in your biographical information. You can kind of get everything ready. It's the equivalent of buying concert tickets, right? So you set up everything in your account ahead of time so that once the ticket sales open, you can just buy your tickets and you don't have to be entering your credit card information and your address and your, blah, 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 blah. So you can put everything in as far as kind of all the groundwork, right? So your biographical information is what we'll call it. And then that way you have your account set up so that when registration opens up on the 21st or the 22nd, depending on where you are located, then you can just choose your test date, click submit, enter in your payment information, and be done, right? You don't have to be sitting there and filling out all the paperwork. So I would highly encourage everyone who is testing in 26 to go and do that ASAP. Separately, if you're planning on applying for accommodations for the MCAT, start that process now. That does take some time. So, I mean, in the neighborhood of around 60 days or so. So begin the process early.
Ideally, they should have started that.
Ideally, you would have started. Exactly. Yeah. So this should have been, I mean, in an ideal world, but what's the saying? The best day to plant a tree was a year ago. The next best day, or 20 years ago, or whatever. Yeah. And now the next best day is to plant the tree today. So plant the tree today. Same thing goes for the fee assistance program. So if you are planning on applying for fee assistance, apply now. The good news about fee assistance is that it's not just fee assistance for the MCAT, it's fee assistance for the preview exam and AMCAS. So you do it, it's one and done is what it comes down to. So you get, you can apply for fee assistance and get everything squared away. You'll get your MCAT registration fee reduced, you'll get your preview fee reduced, you'll get your AMCAS fees reduced, you'll get the AMC bundle, right? Like it's all these things that come with the fee assistance program, but that also takes a couple of days for them to approve you. So you want to get that all done early. You can't go and register for the MCAT, then try to retroactively apply the fee. If you get awarded for fee assistance, you can't go retroactively apply the fee assistance to the registration that you've already completed. So like go and do that. Like ASAP. Those are the three things that you can be doing right now. From a logistical perspective, from a kind of thought process perspective, you should start thinking about when you're going to actually be taking the MCAT, right? So it's not just about, I'm going to find out we already know what the dates are. That's published. It's been published for some time now on their site. We know what the dates are. We know when registration opens. You can start figuring out when the optimal time is to test. We're actually going to host a full hour-long event next Tuesday, so I would encourage everybody to come to that. I'll post the link for that up here so that you can sign up for it. As far as actually selecting your test date and figuring out, not just selecting your test date, but like figuring out when the best time is for you to test. At the end of the day, it's not as simple as just saying, I'm going to test in March, right? It's, okay, why am I testing in March? What else do I have going on? What else, when am I applying? What other activities? What about my schoolwork? Like how much time am I going to have to actually prepare for this thing, right? All these things start to become a factor for you as time goes on. So those are the kind of the places to look at.
Yeah. Never ending. Chicos, I'm thinking of applying to medical school in May of 2027. So that would be not this next cycle, but the one after that. Would it be best to take the MCAT April of 2027 just once, or try to take it by maybe December 2026, and then I can retake it in April 2027? The one caveat is there are no MCAT test dates in October, November, December. So the latest you would take it would be September of 2026. You'd get your score back in October of 2026, and then you would have a decision to retake or not. So,
you could technically test in January of 2027.
Yep.
But you'd get your scores back in February. And so if you wanted to retake in April, that really only gives you like 2 months to make if you wanted to wait for your scores before you decide to retest. So there's that too. Yeah, I'm with you in terms of like September, and then you give yourself about 6 months or so to re-prep if need be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I almost the way that the question is set up is the student's like, oh, I'm gonna need to take it twice, so I'll take it in September. Like, I was having this conversation with another student yesterday. They're like, how many times should I take the MCAT? I'm like, you only want to take it one time. Like, not because taking it twice is bad for your application. It's because the MCAT sucks. It's just miserable to go through. And so you only want to take it one time because you don't want to torture yourself that much.
My favorite statement that I hear from students is, well, I want to go take the real MCAT once for practice. I'm like, no, you don't. Right? Like, no offense, but no, you don't. Right? It just like take a practice test for practice. You don't need to go take the real thing for practice.
Yeah. So. The AAMC does not need your donation.
No.
Yeah.
They'll gladly take it though. But.
Yeah. So one the reason here is biochemistry is December 2026. So potentially that's a good idea to wait until January of 27.
Yeah.
Yep. Didn't know if only taking it once in April was too risky, because if my score is low, it might be too late for me to retake it. That was my thinking process. Yeah, I mean, Petros, if a student takes it in April, they get their score back in May.
Mhm.
If they need to retake it, they need to go through this process of like, well, how did I study the first time?
Mhm.
Where did I go wrong? What do I need to adjust? And that is a several month long
Yeah.
process typically. Um, I almost never see scores on an application that's like, I took it in April and then I took it in May and there's a 10-point jump.
Yeah.
It's usually the same score or worse
Yeah.
when kind of retaking it so fast. Um, so yeah, I don't know, thoughts there.
It's about giving yourself runway to be able to go through that process. And it's not just about going through the process, it's about making sure that whatever process it is that you're going through is actually an analytical process and not an emotional process. And what I mean by that is it's easy to feel like, well, I studied really hard and I don't know why my score didn't improve. So I'll just study, I'll study hard again and my score should improve this time, right? That's a very emotional response as opposed to, okay, here's how I actually studied, right? These were the things that I was doing and this was the trajectory that I was seeing. Okay, in hindsight, that trajectory wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, or I wasn't actually doing the right types of activities, right? There are multiple ways that one can say I'm studying for the MCAT. I love it when people say, oh, I'm studying for the MCAT. I'm like, what are you doing? Anki decks. And I'm like, that is part of studying for the MCAT. That is not an entirety of studying for the MCAT, right? That is a
Yeah.
component. And I had this conversation with a student not too long ago, right before I left, actually, who said, I don't know what happened. I spent 3 months and all I was doing was Anki and I was doing really, really well. And then my MCAT score wasn't high. I was like, well, did you take any practice exams? And the response was no, I haven't taken any. I'm like, why didn't you take a practice exam? Right. So it's the right things weren't done. Now that student didn't have the right guidance and that's fine. And now they have, so it's a, it happens is what it is. But that's, I think, where, kind of giving yourself the right amount of timing, but also, to Chico's to your question, kind of the question behind the question or the thought behind the thought is I would never, as far as a mindset is concerned, do not go into this exam. I don't want this for anyone to go into the exam with the intention that you might need to retake it. You have to ask yourself now, what can I be doing to conquer this thing and conquer it really, really well, right? If it's the equivalent of climbing Everest, right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to go try to climb Everest, and if I fail, I'll try again and figure it out along the way. You don't want to be figuring it out along the way, right? You gotta sit down and say, okay, let me figure out what is it that I'm going to need to do? What milestones do I need to be placing for myself? What do I need to be doing in terms of content? Now you're already very aware. I won't have taken biochemistry, and I won't be done with biochemistry until the end of December. Great. Then there's no reason to even be studying for the MCAT or attempting to take the MCAT in September because you have a big, big content gap. That's a pretty important section or pretty important subject on the MCAT that's missing. So I would say right now, like, you're probably not testing until January, and that's a good thing. That doesn't mean you can't start studying the other stuff, but the biochem is pretty important. So,
Yep.
Making sure that's covered along the way.
Yep. Question from Instagram. Is it terrible to take the MCAT in June if I plan on applying next year as well? So applications open in May. MCAS for the last several years, you can submit at the end of May. Taking the test in June would cause their MCAT score to come back in July. Let's just assume for fun here, without knowing the exact dates, it's the last day in June, right? So June 30th is the day you're taking it. You get your score back theoretically July 30th. It's interesting, Petros. My general stance for students is, as long as they are working on their application, they get their application submitted, and they can play the one school game where they just apply to one school to get their application in line for verification and all of that stuff. the end of June for me, it has historically been, I'm still okay with that if you need to, as long as your application stuff is in, because the the score coming in at the end of July, and I've charted all of this out, and I have some graphics somewhere for it. Medical schools, at least MD schools, and that's what we focus on, MD schools and AMCAS for the timeline, because they're the kind of the strictest and longest, and so that's the one I focus on when talking about this. You submit the application end of May. Medical schools, MD, again, AMCAS schools, don't get the application until near the end of June.
Yeah.
And so by the time that the medical schools start pulling data and going, okay, you've applied to us, here's your secondary essay, that's the beginning of July. You add in a couple weeks to turn those around. The medical schools are also finishing enrollment for their previous class, and so they're in between cycles. Maybe that's their vacation time where they're like, okay, everyone go on vacation, or let's regroup and talk about what went well, what went wrong, like how do we want to change this process, if at all. So to me, a score coming back at the end of July doesn't really hinder an application in terms of timing. It's, are they also submitting their application early, or are they waiting for their score at the end of July to then submit their application?
Yeah. Everything you said, and I'll add a couple things, or one
Yep.
thing. Take the MCAT when you'll be ready to take the MCAT, right? That's the other mindset that you want to, that I encourage students to always adopt. It's not in your best interest in the long run, right? I mean, without being on an admissions committee, just like anything else, you want to always be putting your best foot forward. So regardless of what that is in life. So when it comes to MCAT, like there's no bonus points at the end of the day that say, oh, I took my MCAT early, so I got a couple extra points on the, no, that's the score that you're presenting. So if you know you're not going to be ready by a certain date, then and you're going to be ready by a specific date and time frame, then that's when you should be testing. So that give yourself that opportunity, from that perspective. And I mean, that couples right on what you were saying just now, right? In terms of kind of where things fall as far as the timeline is concerned. So
yeah. Lots of thoughts. Again, Rebecca asked the question, the latest. I think that end of June is really, that's when my comfort starts to go out the window after June. So
so I'm gonna throw a question at you just in terms of comfort level and test dates. What if, okay, I test towards the end of, in May, middle of June, whatever it might be, and then I retest later, so sometime in August or September, but I get the first one in.
If there's a retest needed, and this is where the whole apply to one school game comes into play. I used to be against the one school game. When I first heard about it, I'm like, why are we playing games? You're either applying to medical school or you're not. But then I'm like, oh, it makes a lot of sense to submit your application to one school. So you have to pay the $180, $190, whatever it is, to submit your application. It comes with one school to do that. This works even if you're an FAP student, because you can add schools later on FAP. If you are taking the test later for whatever reason, you're testing in May or June, you have your one school in, you've submitted AMCAS, you get your score back, AMCAS has been verified, you get your score back and go, oh shoot, that's not what I want or need. To me, it's just an immediate, I'm not going to go through with this cycle, because again, we've talked about it's going to be a several month process to properly repair whatever studying needs to be repaired to be ready to take that test again, so that when September, whatever, or August, they retest, that score is not coming in until September, October. That's just so late. Now, at the end of the day, um, I'm trying to change my language from early and late, or mostly just late. Everyone just wants to know, is it too late? To increasing risk, right? Every day, every week, every month just increases the risk that your application is not going to get the love and care that it deserves potentially, because the medical school has given out most, if not all, of their interview spots already. That is the concern that we're fighting against. And so for I was gonna say, at the end of the day, it is ultimately time and money that are a part of this equation. I talk to plenty of students who are like, I understand the risks. I understand that retaking the test in September and getting my score back in October, that's risky. It's quote unquote late. But I understand the budget concerns. I'm not concerned about it. I understand all of the time to submit the application, or theoretically it's already submitted, but to add the other schools, to work on secondaries, all of the costs of the secondaries. I understand all of those things. I still want to go through it.
Yeah.
Awesome. As long as you know the risk that taking that MCAT later and still trying to get in the current cycle is riskier. So, and this is where I wish medical schools were more transparent, and this is my opinion only.
Okay.
I think there is some shenanigans that happen between medical schools and application services on why deadlines and transparency are not as transparent as they should be. Because the AAMC and ACOMIS, ACOM, and TMDSAS, they all make money with more students applying to the application service. The schools make money with all of the secondary essays that get returned and paid for. And if a school was transparent and said, hey, historically every year, our interview invites are done by late September, don't bother submitting an application to us after that. That would hurt the AAMC revenue, or again, any application service revenue, and it would hurt the school's revenue. And so they have this perverse incentive to obfuscate and make this process as opaque as possible because it benefits them and their bottom line. And to me, and my moral high ground in this process, trying to fight for the student, that's just baloney. And so we're trying on the back end, and this is a call for you all to go use Mapped. We have a service called Mapped Mail, which is part of the free Mapped now, where you can, when you submit your applications, you use a Mapped Mail account instead of your normal Gmail account or Yahoo, whatever, if you're still using those crappy ones. You use Petros at mappedmail.com. Our goal with that is not only make the process easier for you, because we'll send you a text message whenever the application service or a school, whoever has that email address, sends you information, because it's coming through our system, and then we immediately forward it to your personal email account. We'll send you a text message too, so you don't have to sit on the inbox going, did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Let me check my spam. Did I miss anything? Right, so we're removing some anxiety there. But over time, it will start to show us the patterns of, hey, this school sent out a ton of interview invites and then stopped on this date. And that is data that I'm dying for, not because it'll help us make money, because it'll help you save money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super excited about that. I just need more people to use Mapped Mail. So anyway, tangent aside.
It's a real, I mean, when you explained that to me for the first time, I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? As opposed to continually checking your inbox. Which, I mean, how often do we? I mean, I check my inbox because, I mean, for work, right? Or have it open and have a little notification, but that's not like a normal thing that we're doing these days. Is text messages, different story.
Yeah. All right. Have a nice day. I'm planning to do a retake, trying to figure out who this batter is. Who's the little avatar? It is a Yankee, a lefty Yankee. I'm not sure who that is. Planning to do a retake, but I went through all the WMC materials on my first test. Not with the new test, though. There's a new WMC test. Any advice on what to do? For reference, I got a 130, 122, 130, 131. So it's mainly a cars thing. That's a bummer.
I'm going to change the question here. It's not mainly a cars thing. It's a cars thing, right? Like that's the you're good on the other sections is which is good.
It's Greg Bird. So Petros, the students here, obviously, because he just responded to who this Yankee is. I'm going to stereotype this student real quick. I think this is an ESL student who obviously is smart, but has it in their head that they suck at cars because they're an ESL student. I want this student to verify or not. Because to me, and we've talked about this, and I talk about it often, the whole test is cars. Right? Every section is basically cars. I was born in Florida, not ESL. Well, it's a Florida education thing too. That's basically the same thing.
And you can say that. You can say that because
I can say that. I lived in Florida. I talk to so many ESL students that it's in their head like, oh, I suck at cars. I suck at cars. I'm like, you're 130 in biochem and chem phys and 131 in psych soc. Tell me that you can read critically. You're just freaked out by the car section. I don't know. You don't agree?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think yes, I agree and I don't agree. That's like the most vague answer, right? The skills in the cars section translate or transfer over to the other three sections 100%. But there is something about the cars section that makes it special, namely because there is no science that you can fall back onto. And as pre-meds, we are not as used to critically reading things that are not science related. So sometimes that does starts to hinder the performance. Namely, and have a nice day. I schedule some time with me. I think we can tackle and figure out kind of what the specifics are as far as what happened with the cars section, and then how to maintain the other science sections as you're thinking of retesting and such. So, I mean, as far as a retake is concerned, there are materials that you can use that would focus entirely on cars. Likely, there's a couple of little things that you could be doing in the car section as far as how to be reading the passages. And when I say how to read the passage, I don't mean like the actual reading, but like the actual analysis of how you're going through and not getting bogged down in the details that are in the car section. I know personally, this is not a ding on people who are philosophers or philosophy majors. I don't like the passages on the MCAT that deal with philosophy. I don't know what it is. Like it's like so said this, and then person B agrees with A, but C comes along and comes up with the theory. I'm like, just get to your point, right? Like just get to the point of what you're trying to tell me. And so that can be a detractor sometimes as well as you're testing. So have a nice day. Set up some time and we'll have a nice conversation.
Yep. All right. The Florida slander's crazy. I got a Florida helmet right behind me. Like I'm allowed to make fun of Florida.
I can't.
Good win this week. All right. That was my response. There's no equivalent to Florida man anywhere else. Like they do it to themselves. That's just not disagreeing. I'm from Florida. Oh man, Florida. All right. Let's see. Maddie, these sessions are a huge help. Thank you. As a sophomore, hope it is okay to ask it here. Pharmacy tech position okay for pre-med aspiring. I'm not a fan of pharmacy tech. I don't think it's clinical experience. More pre-med advising tomorrow. I won't be there. Actually, we might not have one. I haven't figured out yet. We have typically pre-med office hours Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. I am taking the day off, but hopefully we'll still be able to do it. You'll see. Show up tomorrow. If nobody's there, we're not there. Yeah, Johnson, what is the best way to study for the MCAT? Loaded question there. The best way. Tutoring with medical school headquarters.
Of course.
It's the only way.
It's the only way, and it's the best way, is what it is. We can't answer that question in 9 minutes, so I won't pretend to. But as far as kind of an overview in terms of studying for the MCAT, it really comes down to making sure that you have solid knowledge of the content, but more importantly, a solid plan and understanding of how to apply the content and how for the content to be integrated with each other. And what I mean by that is that when we learn content, we learn it in isolated silos. The MCAT does not test you in isolated silos. It connects all the content together. It connects biology with physics. It connects chemistry with physics. It connects chemistry with bio, right? It's all these integrations that are occurring. And so since we've learned it in an isolated fashion, sometimes that's a hard thing to approach. Coupled with all that, you have to learn how to take the test, how the test is actually testing you, right? How is it that it is designed? So it's a game. How can you learn how to play the game? That's how you're studying for the MCAT. It's not about just reading books. It's not about just doing practice problems. It's about actually learning how the thing is written. In an ideal world, you will learn so much about the MCAT that you could go and write the MCAT, right? That you would know so. I mean, I don't want you to worry about that. That's not your job. But that's like the ideal that you're aiming for. And then coupled with all that is building the endurance, because it's a 7 hour. It means 8 hours from the time you're there to the time you leave. All right, with the breaks and with the section changes and all that good stuff. So it's a long day. And you have to perform just as well at the end as you did at the beginning, right? There's no opportunity to really kind of let down. So it's a lot of skills that have to come together, and it takes time. I mean, it'll take you 4 to 5 months to prep for this thing. So this is not an exam that you can cram for in a week. No way. It doesn't work that way. So
yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Some general pre-med questions. I'm going to skip those for right now. Again, pre-med office hours. I know it's frustrating. You're here. You're like, I answer my questions. We try to segregate the questions, MCAT-specific stuff today. Pre-med office hours on Wednesdays for all of that general pre-med advising. I'm interested in your MCAT prep. How does it differ from Kaplan? Petros, we're working on it.
We're working on it. Today, so we do provide MCAT tutoring services. We have a phenomenal team, faculty team of 16 faculty members. So everything that we're providing today is in a tutoring format. So it's all one-on-one. And the main thing I think that differentiates us from everybody is we build out the kind of the plan for you based on you. So we're not trying to fit you into a specific box. We work with each student to build out how their prep is going to work and what specific needs they're going to have to encounter along the way. It's very hands-on. It's very one-on-one in that regards. You're going to be we're very student-centric is what it comes down to, right? Our goal at the end of the day is to get you to where you need to get to and guide you along the way and be your coach and mentor as it were. So that's the big piece I think that you can take away. So schedule some time, Rose, and with me, and we can walk through the different options and walk through kind of what's the right fit for you in terms of all the prep and when to test, all those things, and we'll take it from there. Build it for you.
Yep. All right. Oh, here's a good question from Nicole. Realistically, how many dates and locations should you be prepared to try on the group ABC release for MCAT?
Yeah. So one, definitely come to our session next Tuesday. If you can't come, watch the recording for it. So register for it, and you'll get the recording. But here's how you really need to kind of set things up. You need to, one, identify kind of which window of time you want to be testing. So let's just say you want to test in March, for instance. So there are a couple of dates in March. Then you got to look and say, okay, these are the dates that I'm more comfortable with or better for me, as it were. And then basically make a rank list. So, rank out your kind of number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, maybe. And then when registration opens, try to register for number 1. If that doesn't work, try to register for date number 2. If that doesn't work, try to register for number 3. That's the key there. If you're in an area,
do you think the priority should be date and not location?
Well, that's where I was going. So okay. I think the priority should be date, ideally, in a specific location. If you yourself are in a location where you're equidistant between two testing locations, then of course, you have a preference of A versus B as far as the location is concerned. I wouldn't recommend flying or driving long distances where you have to stay overnight in a hotel just to get a specific date, even though that might mean that you're going very, very far away as far as the location is concerned. So so in that case, if testing on a certain date means you have to travel a very long distance, which likely means you have to, so one, the test starts very early in the morning. So the last thing you want to be doing is driving 2 hours somewhere the morning of the exam, which means you're probably staying in a hotel room, right, the night before the exam. And the last thing you want to be doing the night before the MCAT is staying in a hotel room where you're not comfortable, right? Because I don't know about you, but I've traveled a lot. I never sleep well the first couple nights in a hotel because you're totally right. You're everything's off. And then
there's a psychological reason for that too.
The total psychological reason
from a safety standpoint of like your brain's like, oh, we're in a strange place. I'm not gonna go into as deep of a sleep because I'm not sure about my surroundings.
100%, right? You don't know where the exit door is, right? You know where the exit door is in your home. Or the bathroom for that matter, right? Like it's just, you're not familiar with things. I've also heard stories of students, changing time zones. Well, that's a whole other problem, right? So you don't want to go into that category if you are going to do the thing. And I have heard this plenty of times where students will say, well, I'm gonna take the MCAT. Like I'm at school here. My parents are, in another city very far away. I'm going to go home to take the MCAT. Fine. But go home like a week before you're going to take the MCAT, right? Like don't go home the night before and then take the MCAT the next morning. Go home, spend some time with your family, even though that might stress you out a little bit more than you wanted to, and then and then go take the MCAT.
Yep. So many things. Many things. All right,
Nicole,
friends.
To answer your question directly, as far as how many dates and locations, I think you should be comfortable with about between 3 and 5 is usually the kind of the range. So
yeah. All right, friends. Again, we're here most Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern. Also, check out Pre-Med Office Hours Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Go over to medicalschoolhq.net. You can schedule a consult with Petros to dive a little bit more in depth on your MCAT needs and where you're struggling and where we can help. And Medical School HQ as well for advising. If you want help with the application service, all of your essays and interview prep, all that good stuff. We have an amazing team that we've put together that helps students one-on-one. So, Petros, thank you. It's good to be back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be anywhere, really. So
it's good. Good to be alive.